Hello, everyone. Welcome to Achieving Success with Olivia Atkin. I am your host, Olivia Atkin. Each week, we discuss the roadmap to achieving your personal and professional success. We give you real life stories on growing both personally and professionally to achieve your life and career goals with the help of some top notch guests. Today, we are speaking with Kason Roberts. Kason is the founder and chief executive officer at AR Global Inc. AR Global Inc. is a roofing and construction company who aims to help the community stay safe. You can find Kason on LinkedIn by searching Kason Roberts or by searching him on Instagram at Kason Roberts or by emailing him at Kason at arglobalroofing.com. Hello, Kason. It's fantastic having you on the show today.
Hey, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Miss Olivia. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm super, super excited to be here.
I am very excited because you and I had conversations in the past, and I just know off the bat the amazing conversation we're going to have today. So let's dive right into it. To start off the show, can you tell me what success means and looks like to Kason Roberts?
Yeah, success means to me is like, overcoming your ups and downs, throughout life, we go through a lot of ups and downs. So once we're able to identify what's pulling us down when we're up, we're able to get rid of the negative things around us. You got to find out who's, suppressing you and pulling you down and stopping you from becoming great. And once you figure that out, you can move forward and be successful.
And I love how you bring that up and how that is one of the things that you identify as what success means and looks like to you today, because I think it plays right into your story and something we are going to dive in now because talking about ups and downs in life is something you have experienced firsthand. We're all shaped by the experiences and upbringing that we have. And those could mean the good moments or the bad. It all plays a role. And
Right.
it's how you can handle it and grow from that that really shapes how you approach situations and life. We can just always look at ourselves as a victim, or we can take those moments where we might have been the victim as well, but learn from them, help it elevate us. And I can personally say from our conversations that you and I've had that your life might not look what everyone thinks of when they think of a business owner, but it's your kind-heartedness, you're passionate that has shaped who you are today. So one of those things that really played that role was that you were a foster child growing up and from a very young age too. So what was it like growing up as a foster child and how do you think those experiences shaped your outlook as an adult as well as a business owner?
I'll cut to the chase, Mrs. Atkin. Growing up as a foster kid, it was horrible. It was very, very terrifying, and I would never wish it upon any child. That's why I'm always pushing. We need to protect our kids because our kids are our future. Nowadays you got more people to reach out to, but back then you didn't. The parents had you thinking that if you reached out to somebody and told on them that you would go to a worse home, to a shelter or something. And nobody wanted to be in the shelter, so they would literally just manipulate you and control you and, feed you slop, just horrible things, pay other kids to, beat you up because I didn't like you. I think it's helped me become the person I am today because, like, a lot of times they told me I was never going to amount to anything, that I was a retard, that I was stupid. And for a long time, part of me believed that in a little bit because I mean, you got these adults, telling you this, so you're like, man, this may be true. They hate me this much. I mean, maybe it's true. And then you go to school and it doesn't get any better for you. So I think it helped me out because part of me was like, you know what? I got a chip on my shoulder. And I want them to see me in the future as I am now. And I always wanted to be a businessman. I said, but how can I literally make them regret what they did to me? I said, the greatest revenge is success. You ain't gotta, fight anybody or, bash anybody or be negative. Don't ever stoop to their level. Just do positive things. And that's gonna tear them up even more because they're gonna be afraid that you're gonna get your story out one day and tell on them. So that's what I've been able to do over, the last couple of years is just, keep my head down, keep God first. That's the number one thing. Keep God first. You got to allow God to heal your heart, what you've been through. And once the healing process starts, you're able to achieve your goals. You set goals, write them down, and you scratch them off, and you complete one. And that's what I've been able to do. So I think what I had to go through as a kid actually helped me. I mean, because I see a lot of kids I went to school with, they had, brand new Corvettes, nice clothes, they got treated good. And I used to be kind of jealous. It hurt, their parents go to their football games. My parents never showed up. My foster parents never showed up to my football games, so that hurt. And I always thought that, "Hang, man, how am I gonna make it?" But it actually helped me because I realized that I didn't have anybody to depend on, so I only had myself. It's me and God. So that actually helped me realize, like, okay, I could really make something out of this. I have nothing stopping me now at this point. I have nobody telling me that I'm, a retard or whatever, they could say. I just gotta do what I gotta do, keep my head down and just run with it. And that's what I'm done.
And I think one of the things you brought up, because you brought up so many amazing points, and we're going to dive into so much of what you just said. But as someone, I'm a Kappa Alpha Theta. That was my Greek
Oh,
sorority.
nice, awesome.
And so one of the organizations, our organization and our philanthropy is CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates for the foster kids in the community, because it is so important to have that advocate. And I know firsthand through the trainings and experiences I've had, because now I'm also an advisor for Kappa Alpha Theta 2 universities, is the point of understanding that not every kid is experiencing life the way you experienced it. And especially within the foster system, a lot of times, like you mentioned, foster parents, if they're not good foster parents, they are doing things to put you down. There is no one showing up to your games, like you said, advocating for you. And I think that's so important to have at least one adult who is with you that is saying, I have your back, that you can do this. Because whether you're an adult or that kid, and I would love for you to go into this, it's probably not just hurtful, but as you had kind of mentioned, your mindset starts to change over time. And it's what you want your mindset to be.
Right. I agree with Mr. I agree with you 100%, Mrs. Atkin. You hit it right on the nail. I would say this: if I would have had a young lady like you there for me, supporting me through CASA, I think it would have been a lot better, for me. Because I mean, you got a good heart, and yeah, like you stated something earlier. A lot of kids they do got good foster homes. There are good foster homes out there. There are good foster homes out there when the parents are doing it for the right reasons,
Mhm,
right? My foster parents are just doing it for the money. They're raking in like $450,000 a year off like 15 kids. I live in a orphanage, so they're doing it for the wrong reasons, just for the money. There's foster parents out there that do it because they care. They don't care about the money. They want to give the kids a chance, give the kids a future because they understand it ain't the kid's fault that he's in that situation. And once the parents are able to understand that, they're treated a lot better,
mhm.
instead of having bad foster parents that literally they know it's not your fault, but they only want to get paid, so they don't care.
And I want to ask one more question on this topic, though knowing us and the way the conversation goes, I say that now and we might end up going down another one. But what would you say to the kid who is in the foster system now, who doesn't have a good home, is seeing the kids around them have very different childhoods than themselves? What advice or mindset would you advise them to have from your experiences that they might not have had before?
Well, I would say if they're in a good school, I would say, I mean, there's always good people in schools, like good, adults. Find somebody that you can trust. It's all about knowing who you can trust too. If you got to know who you can trust to, so you know who you need to talk to, right? So you need to go to school, you know, talk to some, teachers that they care, explaining them what's going on in your home, so they can help you out. See, that was my situation. Like I was afraid. I was so terrified because foster parents had all the kids terrified. So I would never open up. The teachers knew something was going on. Now looking back, I understand that. They tell me now, all you had to do is come to us. We knew something was going on there. We could have handled it. but I did not know at the time, I was afraid. So I would say to that kid, write everything down that's going on in your home. Do it behind the closed doors. Don't let them see you doing it. Put the dates and time if you can, and go to school and open up and tell somebody what's going on. So then get an investigation put on them, and that way you can get out of that home and get in a better home. That's what I would say. I would say don't be afraid. Fear is only from the devil. It's not from God. And I would say stay prayed up. Stay prayed up. I know you probably some of these kids are probably teenagers. They don't understand God yet, but they just open up to God. God will literally always be there and take care of you. Because a lot of times I didn't realize I was praying when I was praying as a kid. I just knew I was talking to somebody. I was talking to God. I didn't realize it. Now looking back, I was talking to God. I would cry, and things would start to get like I would feel better. Things wouldn't really get better necessarily, but I would feel better. I would feel comfort, and I know that comfort and that love that I felt only came from God. So I would say just find help. Find help. Don't be afraid. Somebody out there is going to help you.
And I think one thing you mentioned there too is it isn't necessarily about the moment of you have to pray to God or what God you have to pray to. It's about letting that release out, having your voice heard or talking to someone. And I think that's something that we all need in our life sometimes. Bottling things in is only going to do so much, right? Here now, I might need to be more resilient. So I have to like push it down. But if you don't let that out at some point, it's not going to be healthy. And as you were saying this, there was one other question, and then we're definitely going to move on to your journey from foster home and being a foster kid to your business. And this is kind of going to be that bridge a little bit. But so many individuals going through the experiences you did as a child, and some of which you'd mentioned earlier, would just say, "Okay, I'm done. I'm giving up. I'm going this route." And it's not a healthy route. There's not always positive outcomes to it either. So for you, how did you take your experiences as a child and go, "I'm going to elevate myself. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do these things," instead of just saying, "Okay, well this is what everyone's saying to me. This is how every my foster home is trying to shape my life, and I'm gonna go in that direction." What advice would you give to other adults that have been in the foster system, have had challenging times, and or just adults who have had those challenging times, right? And they are going, "Which way do I turn?"
Right, right. So what I would say is like, for example, I've seen a lot of kids that they chose to go down that route where, they wanted to be, you know, they wanted to pretty much, hold everything in. And when they held everything in, it even happened to me a couple of times. I held everything in and it only got worse because I would blow up at times, right? So I would get in trouble at school for other things because I had things affecting me at home. So what I would say is, you know, like you said earlier, you gotta let those things out, talk about them, right? And what I would say about like not letting those things get to you and like letting them control you and hold you down, you got to know that what I knew for me is that I wanted success. I seen so much hate and I wanted success. I seen kids around me getting in trouble, going to prison, getting on drugs, running away from the foster home, but it only got them in worse situations, right? So what I knew is that I wanted to be great. I wanted to be great like Tiger Woods. I wanted to be great like Jordan. I wanted the opportunity to go out and prove myself to the world, the same world, not everybody in the world, same world that allowed, things to happen to me in my foster home. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make something for myself. I'm not gonna let those things hold me back. I'm not gonna let those things define me because I'm not a prisoner of my past. I'm a good man and I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna make something of myself. So you gotta want it at the end of the day. You can't make excuses for yourself. You really gotta want it. It's all about how bad you want it. I wanted it real bad, and I still want it bad. You know, I breathe it every day. I wake up wanting more, more, more.
And that brings us into that entrepreneurial spirit that you have and drive. So for you, what made you decide to start your business and go down the entrepreneurial route?
Well, I knew, I was always, really big into football. I played football all throughout high school, middle school, and that was like my escape. That was my escape from everything that was going on with me. I could go out there, pretty much sell myself to the coach, basically like, hey, I'm going to go out here and hustle, and hopefully I get a starting position. And that's basically how it worked. So I knew after, I got hurt in college that my time playing football was over with. I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to be a businessman. That's what I always wanted to be. I remember, being very, very poor as a child. And I remember watching a show called Pretty Woman. And I saw this businessman in a suit, and I was like, dang, man, he's got a beautiful woman, which I didn't really know what it meant as a kid. So I kind of hate to bring that up, but I said it to say, I saw the guy in the suit, and I wanted to have the suit. I wanted to do business. And I said, you know what? I sold myself playing sports. All I got to do is put that same energy into business. I said, if I put that same energy in business, why can I not get a shot out here in the business? So I said, you know what? I'm still gonna go to the gym, still gonna work out, I'm still gonna stay disciplined, I'm still gonna read my books, but I'm gonna put that energy into becoming an entrepreneur and learning how to do business. And it was the same, it was just a different field. The playing field is the same. It's just a different area. So you just take that energy and put it into business. A lot of athletes, if they realize that, they'd be so much successful because football is only temporary. It's not forever. You got to figure out what you really want to do when that is over with. I think a lot of athletes will make good entrepreneurs, but they don't realize that because they're afraid. They think you got to go to school to learn business and all that, and you don't. Because I don't have a degree in business. I just believed in myself. I believed that I could. I believed I could sell myself, get out there, and make a name for myself and build my brand. So that's what I've been able to do over the years.
And I think at the end of the day, whether you have an education in what you're doing now or you don't, one thing that will help you elevate no matter your environment is your personal experiences. Those skill sets you do bring to the table, as well as it's about what you do, even if you have a degree. A lot of times now, you don't spend your whole career in what you got your degree in. It's
True.
taking those skill sets again, like you had mentioned, and putting them in the right areas. I went I have a degree or certification in almost every business area now, but it was the reason I did that was that I could understand how different environments worked. It wasn't because I didn't know what I wanted to do or I needed it for a role. When I remember getting this question, ironically, since I'm an entrepreneur now, when I decided my major in undergrad, my first major was entrepreneurship, and
Wow.
and I left that after 2.5 years because I knew I wanted to go into sports, and the program just wasn't giving me what I needed. But before I left, I started the Society for Human Resource Management, the student organization. And I remember sitting in my entrepreneurial class one day, and again, I was going to go into sports management and working with the team. And I'd already started working at our college team and different things. And we're sitting in class talking about, you know, business and owning your own business. And something came up, and I forget exactly what came up. And I mentioned, sure, and the professor, who actually was the head of the department at the time, turned around as quickly as he could because he had his back to me and was like, "Why did you start that organization? You're an entrepreneurship major, and that's an HR management, uh, like, organization and program." And I was like, "Well, if I want my response kinda sassy, right? Because of my personality, I was like, well, if I am gonna own my own business and I have to manage people, shouldn't I know how to do that correctly and the laws?" And it's all those things where it's like sometimes it's the experiences that we don't get into the classroom in the classroom that help us really see the bigger picture in things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Couldn't agree more with you. I like that. No,
And for you, like, how has some of those experiences that you're still doing now help you shape how you decide to run your business? And what is that environment like?
I think it's like an everyday process. A lot of people think things happen overnight. I kind of say they do in a way. Because as long as you go out there and give it your all every day, and you're not competing against anybody in the world, you're competing against yourself. So if you go out there and every day and give it your all, little by little, And before you know it, everything that you've been doing is gonna blow up huge. A lot of people see me now and they're like, man, it happened so fast for you. But they didn't see what I was doing behind closed doors. They didn't see the 4:35 a.m. mornings going to the gym, running 3 miles, running in the cold, running in the rain, running in the slow. No, and not because I loved it. It's because I knew I had to control my mind, right? So when I wake up in the morning, if I don't feel good, I'm like, no, this is what we do now, Kason. It doesn't matter if we don't feel good. We got a family depending on us. We got a wife depending on us. We got kids, and I got to depend on myself. So I got to get up. It's time to get up. So you got to control your mind. You got to be very, very disciplined. And that's what people got to realize. You got to have discipline and focus. If you don't have any one of those two, you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. You're not going to make it in the real world because the world is very, very cruel. Nobody cares about you, right? So nobody cares what you're going through. Nobody cares what you got going on. I mean, people care, but at the end of the day, you can't make excuses. You got to go out there every day and give it your all. If you give it your best every day, you're not going to fail. But if you're afraid to fail, that you don't go out and try, you're going to fail. You're afraid of something. You're actually afraid of something that ain't going to happen. But since you believe it's going to happen, you actually create that to happen, right? So your mind is very, very powerful. If you train it the right way and control it, you can do anything in this world you want to do. Anything. Sky's only the limit.
And I love how you bring that up because part of it is manifestation, right? We work really hard and it's the mindset we put ourselves in too that's going to bring us down a certain road. If we work hard, but we keep saying it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, you're putting the roadblocks up yourself and you're ending up inherently manifesting that the outcome
Yeah.
that you want is not going to play out because you're not putting every focus on it. You're already building the roadblocks against yourself. And I think that brings up a good point that I also want to start to dive in. In roofing and construction, it's all about planning, but it's also all about the unknown to some
Yes.
extent. At any point, you can plan your day out, and I've had conversations about how to time manage and all this. And there is consistent work in it, but at times we cannot control when a call happens, when that emergency, when that homeowner is like, okay, I need you here. There's this leak going on, or there's this happening, or, my roof got fully damaged because of the storm that just happened. For you, one of the things I love that you always bring up is making sure you have that community outreach. People know they could get a hold of you, they could rely on you, and that you're going to deliver to them as quickly and as fast as possible. For you, how do you handle some of those calls sometimes, especially when something might be happening at a time and day, or someone might want you there right now to fix it because that's their emergency, as we talked about those feelings we have. And sometimes people then want that to only be your focus when you might have other jobs. You're going in your head, okay, this might not actually be an emergency. I know it's really important to you, but in all reality, so, how do you handle all of that? And what would your advice be to other business owners in the roofing environment?
Well, I always stay on my toes for one. I'm always prepared for calls to come through because I know they're going to come. Um, Basically, if a customer calls, I'm basically able to, pretty much most of the time troubleshoot the problem over the phone with them, like figure out exactly if it's like really an emergency or if it's something that can wait a couple days. But a lot of times, if it's an emergency, I'll try to get out there today if I can. If not, it'll be the next day. But basically, I'm not ever comfortable. I don't believe in being comfortable. I believe if you're uncomfortable when calls come in, you're not gonna know what to do. So I never like to feel comfortable. I like being uncomfortable because my life actually runs the way it needs to run when I'm uncomfortable. So anytime a call comes through, I'm not stressed out. I feel like when people are too comfortable with their lives, they're not prepared for the unknown. So I'm always prepared for the unknown. I don't like to use the word always think for the worst because I mean, again, goes back to manifestation. You can't think like that, but in a way I do because I'm always expecting the calls to come through, especially when we're in springtime. Like I know it's going to happen. What I like to do is I put everything in my calendar. When I get on the phone with the customer and I figure out if I need to be there right away or the next day, I start putting them down on a calendar. And I only put it in my calendar, but I also put it on my board in my office. I write it down in my office, put the time, the date I'm going to be there. That way, I can just run off my calendar. Basically, run off my calendar. It makes my life a lot easier. I'm never late up for a meeting. I'm always there for the customer. And I just think it's all about just being available. Like answering your phone is the main thing. Right? I understand you may be busy, you're not able to get to your phone, but always make sure your voicemail is cleared to where a customer can at least leave a voicemail. That way you can go check it later on that day. You can call them back, set an appointment, and get out there.
And I love how you bring up at least make sure your voicemail is cleared because so many
Yeah.
people don't do that. And I will call people sometimes and they'll be like, the voicemail isn't even set up or you can't leave a message. And I'm like, okay, well, now I have to try it back. But especially as a business owner, when you don't have that, and I love how you brought this up because this has not been something that we talked about yet. But when that happens, you are inadvertently going to probably end up losing business. And
Absolutely.
that is and that is something people don't take into account, right? You have a good service, a good product, there people are gonna want it. You market it, all these things but it can be something as small as making sure your voicemail's set up and that it's always has room for someone to leave a message that can be such a big factor. And it is something now that we're talking about this too, that is someone's first impression of you and your business, especially as that business owner.
Can you say
And
that again? The question? Did you ask a
I
question?
said no, I didn't ask one yet.
Oh,
I
my
was
bad.
about to. You
Okay.
got me. So for you, how do you always too you mentioned being uncomfortable and like you are comfortable in the uncomfortable. But and so many business owners get stressed out with this aspect of, okay, is the call going to come in? Is the money going to come in? How do you kind of de-stress yourself sometimes when especially in roofing and construction, it isn't always consistent or bringing in the same exact business every single month. How do you handle that mindset and to yourself like you'd said, they are going to come. It's just a matter of when.
Well, I just always believe. I mean, I write my goals down and I believe they're going to happen. I write my goals down, how many roofs I want to do that throughout the year and throughout the month, how many commercial jobs I want, how many residential jobs I want, how many solar jobs I want. And I believe what I write down, and I repeat that every day, and that they just run in. So when I'm able to go through slow season, and I also am very disciplined with my money. Right, I put my money up. I don't just go out and buy dumb things that I don't need because I know sometimes it can be slow. So during the slow season, I'm working on myself. Spending time with the family. I'm reading books. I'm still waiting on the unknown because it doesn't matter what year, like what time of the year it is. We can get hailstorm or we can get a hurricane. You never know. The weather could just change instantly. But I'm always ready. I'm always prepared to put my shoes on and go out and serve my community. Um, I control what I eat. Diet is a real good good thing because if you're not dieting right, being an entrepreneur, it's going to have an effect on how you feel and how you operate. You want to also make sure your energy is like very high to where you're able to go out, not get sick. Because in some of these conditions we work in, like it could be cold sometime, and you see what happened during COVID. I mean, COVID was actually good for us. We were really busy because guess what? Everybody was home. So when we got those storms, people were at home. So we're able to go
Mhm.
out and help them more. So it was actually good for us.
For you, as we talk about being that homeowner, going out there, doing the call, how helping your community is something that really runs in your blood
Oh
and
yeah.
really drives you. And it has been something I've heard you say throughout the show today. So for you, even in my introduction, I mentioned how your mission is helping keeping the community safe. And how do you make sure that is known and lead by example within your organization and teaching others within your company to do the same.
I like that question. I love that question. I think it was about November. One of my sales guys, he came to me. He said, Kason, man, you've been doing this for a long time. He said, I know a lot of roofers, owners of roofing companies, they don't go out and knock doors no more. They sit in the office, they're on vacation, don't do much. And I said, Jordan, that's his name. I said, Jordan, the reason why I do what I do, it's not just for me, it's for y'all. I said, because every customer is different. That's the art of the deal, right? So if I'm not out there in the trenches with you, how I'm going to know how to help you if you run into a customer or insurance company or an adjuster and you don't know how to deal with them? So I said, I'm always sharpening my sword so I can sharpen y'all. So if I'm in my office every day, I'm not going to know how to help y'all. So I'm out here to help, not only help myself, but help y'all too, because I care about y'all. And a
And
lot of
I
owners don't care.
And I love that. And I love how you mentioned it's about rolling up your sleeves and continuing to do the work. Because one thing that you had mentioned is if a situation or environment is changing and you don't know about because you're in the office or you're not in the office, all right?
Mhm.
How can you expect others to be prepared with it? So for you, what is not just the experience like, but as you see shifts in the community or what people need, how do you relay that to your team to make sure their sword is sharpened too?
Well, anytime I find out any new, because any new things about the insurance companies, they're constantly changing rules so they can stop having to pay out, large sums of monies to these homeowners. As soon as I find out something new's occurred, for one, I want to make sure it's true. So I do my research, do my market research on what I've heard. And once I know that it's a fact, I immediately get all my whole sales team together, my whole organization, have a meeting, lunch meeting with them, usually at a country club. And I tell them, hey, this is what we need to, we need to be prepared for this because this is what's happening. This is what's taking place. That way, when we're not surprised, I don't want anybody being surprised. I don't like surprises. And I have gotten surprises before, but when I know, I don't just dwell on it. I immediately call my team because I know if I'm dealing with it, they're going to deal with it too. So I want them to know how to deal with problems when they occur, so they know how to troubleshoot them.
And one thing I loved what you mentioned there too, because it is so important, especially with how news can be spread in today's environment, right? Through podcasts like this,
Yeah.
through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, there's a way to get information. But what I love that you brought up there too is it's fact checking what you're reading. Because at the end of the day, too, it's making sure not just the information is accurate, but what you're bringing to the team and how you might pivot aligns with accurate information. Right now, our voices carry so much weight, and so many times we forget about that.
Yes, ma'am.
So for you, I also want to take it from a different side of things. At, being a homeowner can be so overwhelming, right? It's something that you can end up having that emergency and having to call people. Who do you call? How do you know it's the right fit, pricing wise? Because there are companies sadly out there, no matter the industry, that will see a weakness or you not knowing the right information and try to take advantage of that. So, what advice would you give to that new homeowner, that young homeowner, or even someone who's been a homeowner for years on how to handle different information that's coming to them, you know, how to know when is the right time to replace a roof and when is it really needed, or doing construction on the house and what is that emergency feeling and when should that really be versus, okay, no, we can plan for this. It is okay.
Yeah, I like how you touched on that. It's very, very important. 'Cause there's a lot of contractors out here that are crooks, right? So they knock on a homeowner's door just to, rip the homeowner off, right? So I always tell the homeowners, do your research on the contractor that's showing up. Don't just believe what he's telling you. You know, Make sure he shows you proof. Like, make sure when he's getting on top of your roof to inspect it, that he's showing you pictures to back up what he's saying. The damage is there, the damage is there, but the homeowner needs to see pictures of what the damage is, right? You need to make sure it ain't just wear and tear, that it's actually something that's going to be warranted by the insurance company because the insurance company does not warrant wear and tear. So it's got to have some kind of wind or hail damage, right? So the homeowner needs to also make sure that the contractor's been business for at least, I would say 5 years to
Mhm.
trust him, right? And he also needs to be licensed and abundant and have a track record. He needs to be at least give you 5 to 10 referrals right off the bat. No stuttering right off the bat. People that you can call, and he shouldn't hesitate on you calling that other customer because if he's done good work, there's no problem, right? So the homeowner needs always to make sure that they do their research and investigate the contractor that they're using. They need to make sure they have a website, good reviews. If they don't have it, that's a red flag. Especially guys that show up with no business cards. It's 2024. At least have a virtual business card on your phone or something.
And I think that's so important. I love how you say that because sadly it is true and we can all become victims of it. But it is something I love how you mentioned some of those red flags and some things that we can all do as homeowners to also do our due diligence because sometimes it's just you don't know and you don't know, okay, should I be asking for this? What should I be asking to be able to do my due diligence? So I love how you brought that facet up as well. What advice would you also give to a homeowner on whether they're trying to figure out if it is actually an emergency or, okay, I could wait till tomorrow, or if this contractor I really want isn't available for 3 days, I can give that sigh of relief. Okay, I know it's not an emergency, versus, okay, this has to be taken care of right now situation.
Right. I would say if like you're having leaks in your home, obviously as an emergency, having a contractor come out there and emergency tarp it temporarily so we can get the insurance out there. But also what I would say will be emergency too. Um, Remember when the storm happened, right? Let's remember what date of loss that you have for the storm, right? You get a year to file a claim on your insurance. After that year, insurance company's not required to pay for it. So, you got a window. How bad is how bad is the damage really? Am I able to afford to pay my deductible right now, or do we got to wait 90 days till we get our deductible money in to where we can pay it? So it's just all about pivoting. Taking all the facts. Again, dealing with an honest contractor that's going to work with you and be patient with you and do everything for you, right? So for me, I do everything for the homeowner, right? The homeowner don't have to do anything, right? The homeowner is a doctor, a lawyer, whatever he is. He has to focus on that. He hired me to do a job, so I handle the whole insurance process, everything. The only thing the homeowner's got to do is pick out their shingle color. That's it. So when you do that, that's how you get referrals too, because you take all the stress off the homeowner. Because they shouldn't be having to do that at all. So you get them to sign your contract that, gives you the power of attorney and authorizes you to negotiate with their insurance company on their behalf.
And I love that. And I love the whole theme of that because it is about taking the stress off in no matter what facet of life we are, especially if it's our job, our role, we're the expert in it. It's like if I know, right, as a business owner and as a person myself, I have a roofing issue come up, and we'll just use that as an example because of our conversation right now. And I don't have the time, the mental energy. I'm stressed dealing with everything I have to do for my clients to perform at my level. And I bring someone like yourself in and I go, okay, I know Kason's got it. I know he's going to advocate for me. He's going to be there. He's going to put me in the right direction. It becomes a lot less stressful in your personal life on something that because you aren't the knowledge expert in will only become more daunting for you too and overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So for you, what do you hope, as we talked about earlier, paying it forward, helping owners, hoping the community, what do you hope to be doing in the next few years to elevate the community, to make sure that knowledge is shared with them as well? And what advice would you give to individuals who are always growing like yourself and sometimes pivoting, but making sure that they're able to give back to the community, making sure giving back is a focus no matter what's going on in life.
Yeah, I would say, it ain't just about the money at all. It's cool, make a little money, take care of your family, have nice things, go on vacations. But you also got to remember there's some homeowners out there that are not able to afford a new roof. They don't have insurance. So what we like to do at AR Global Inc. is we like to donate. I like to donate money to, foster kid organizations, Christmas drive. We like to do toy drives, Christmas drives. We also like to put on free roofs every now and then when we're able to, when we're in a good financial area where we're able to give back to the homeowner that doesn't have that extra money to put on the roof. So at the end of the day, it's all about giving, right? Because when you show up when people don't have anything and you do the right thing, everybody don't have to see it, but God knows what you've done. The word's gonna get out, and that's only gonna continue to grow your business at the end of the day. And I also say just keep your head down. There's no get rich quick scheme. Um, if you just do what you're supposed to do every day and continue to grow and take care of every customer, every customer the right way, they're gonna give you referrals, and before you know it, 10 years from now, your company will be, Fortune 500, and you'd be really excited that you did the homeowners the right way, and you also be to pass it down to your kids one day. So it's all about being able to give back to your kids too, building generational wealth. Because you know what, they may not want to go to college, they may not want to go play football, they may not want to, they may just want to take over the family business. It's already built, so that gives them something to look forward to also.
And I love that. And I think one thing you touched upon in that too is thinking about the generational wealth, but also thinking about how you can give back to the community in not just one way.
Right.
You brought up the toy drive, foster kids, all these different things. And I think sometimes too, we think that, okay, we only have to give back in one way. If our business is roofing, okay, if we could give someone a roof or give them a discount, like good, we've done a good deed. But it is also about, as you've mentioned throughout this whole show, the community. And sometimes we might not all be in a financial situation to give back monetarily. But one thing that even sparked me when you were giving those examples is, and your story of what you talked about today, be that person in the community that goes to the game to root for the kid who doesn't have the parent there. Be that individual. That doesn't take money. That takes, okay, a football game might be an hour and a half. Be be there for that hour and a half. Be an active member of the community and sit there and spend the time to advocate for people or just emotionally show up in a way that someone needs. Kason, how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me by LinkedIn, Kason Roberts on LinkedIn. Also on Instagram, Kason Roberts, and also on Facebook, Kason Roberts. My website is AR Global Inc. ARglobalroofing.com. You can reach us by there. And my phone number is 903-808-8002. You can also reach me by there also.
Well, thank you, Kason, for all of your insight today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me again, Mrs. Atkin. I really do appreciate it. I'm thankful.
I really enjoyed this conversation, and we touched upon so many different important aspects and your journey. And I have a few of our key takeaways ready to go, but the list is so long. I had to narrow it down a little bit because you said so many amazing things. But a few of those key takeaways from today's conversation is the greatest revenge is success. You don't have to stoop to someone's level, you don't have to point it out to them. Just stay focused, meet your success goals, and let that show to them that no matter how they might try to put you down, they didn't get the best of you. As well as know who you can trust so you know who to talk to. I love that point that Kason brought up because when you know who you can trust and you can have that open conversation with them, it relieves so many feelings within you. They can help you and point you in the right direction to get help sometimes. Know that right person, know who you can rely on, and know who will advocate and stand by you or in front of you sometimes, but not behind you. And I love that point, as well as you are not a prisoner of your past. That is probably one of my favorites. All of the key takeaways today are honestly some of my favorites that I've heard. But I love it. We are not a prisoner of our past. It shapes who we are, but it does not define who we are. And I think that is so important, as a business owner, it is about sharpening your sword so you can help sharpen others. And that also plays into our private lives and personal lives as well. Sharpen your skills. Continue at, especially as that business owner. Get out there every day. Be a part of what your staff is experiencing. Share that knowledge as well so you can help them sharpen their skill sets, be able to approach a situation a certain way. This was a great episode with our top-notch guest, Kason Roberts. Thank you for listening and have a successful day.